this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Which I'm just announcing today for the first time. But we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil. Millions of barrels. Every night, we took out oil. But now I'm going to tell you because they just figured it out. So now that they figured it out, I can tell you. It was very hard for me. I wanted to say it so badly, but I didn't want to ruin it, but it was very hard. But millions of barrels of oil has come out.
You're listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson.
Good Thursday morning. Nice to have you with us on the 47 Morning Update, and we've got two major stories for you this morning. First up, Democrats are now seeking to undo a Trump tough strategy on green card policy. This could close a loophole that hundreds of thousands are using. So why are the Democrats doing this right now, putting illegals ahead of Americans? We'll have those details as well. Also, your tax dollars are apparently going to terrorists in UNRWA who are directly tied to Hamas and even involved in the October 7th attacks. So how do we stop having our tax dollars go to UNRWA? And can the president move to declare they're a terrorist organization? All right, I want to take a moment and talk to you about what's happening right now in this country. And it really feels like our country is finally getting the momentum we needed again. Our leaders are fighting to restore common sense and America first. But we've also seen this before. Conservatives get comfortable. The left starts taking back ground inch by inch. And we cannot let that happen in these midterm elections. America needs every one of us in the fight. And a big part of that means supporting companies that actually stand for our values. And that's why I'm proud to partner with Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile gives you premium priority nationwide service on any of the three major U.S. networks. So you get the coverage you need that you deserve, plus unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, and a 100% U.S.-based customer support team. Now, switching has never been easier. You keep your phone, keep your number, and you can literally activate in minutes. You don't go to a store. Patriot Mobile, by the way, is so much more than a great wireless service provider. They built a growing movement of Americans defending faith, freedom, and family. The future of this country, well, now it's in your hands. With every call you make, with every text you send, and with every bill that you pay. Because when you're with Patriot Mobile, you're helping donate millions every year to organizations fighting for what we believe in. So try Patriot Mobile right now. So go to patriotmobile.com/Ben47 or call 972-PATRIOT. And if you use the promo code Ben47, you'll get a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Ben47 or 972-PATRIOT and switch today. It's the 47 Morning Update, and it starts right now.
Story number one.
We're going to start with a very interesting story, and that is Democrats now are seeking to undo Donald Trump's tough new policy on green card holders. Democrats on Capitol Hill say they're going to move to overturn the president's immigration policy changes. Now, Trump's second term, he said, I'm going to have a new rule that could require many green card applicants already living legally in the United States to leave the country and complete their applications from abroad. That according to a report by The Hill. And multiple national outlets have also confirmed the details. Now, the Democrats are losing their minds, saying the policy could affect hundreds of thousands of immigrants currently working, studying, and raising families in the United States of America. Now, for decades, many legal immigrants have been able to apply for permanent residency through a process known as adjustment of status, allowing them to remain in the U.S. while their green card applications were reviewed. But the Trump administration said this has become a massive loophole, and the new guidance dramatically changes that process. Under the policy, the applicants could now be required to return to their home countries and complete the process through a U.S. consulate unless they can demonstrate what the administration calls extraordinary circumstances. Now, the administration argues this isn't a new law, but rather a return to the original intent of immigration status. Homeland Security officials say the temporary visas were never intended to become an automatic pathway to permanent residency, and that the new rules will make the immigration system more orderly and also efficient. The administration has also indicated that expectations may be available for individuals who provide a significant economic benefit or serve the national interest. Well, Democrats, you know what they're going to do. Stand up for those that aren't American citizens before they stand up for American citizens every single time they can do it. And that's exactly what they're doing now. They're calling this move by the Trump administration disruptive and harmful and hurtful. And they argue it could separate families, disrupt careers, create uncertainty for employers, and force legal immigrants into lengthy overseas processing backlogs that can stretch for months or even years. Again, making sure they put those from outside of America ahead of you. Now, immigration advocates are also warning that this will be a disaster. But again, look at the open border process and what we've actually had in this country. Now, the debate now centers on a larger question. What should legal immigration look like in America? Supporters of President Trump who voted for him said it was very clear. They wanted to shut down the borders, they wanted an orderly program, and they wanted to get illegal immigrants out of this country. They wanted to stop rewarding people who were coming into this country illegally with government benefits as well. And the Trump policy says the administration is simply enforcing the immigration laws that are already on the books and closing these loopholes that encourage temporary visitors to remain permanently. Now, Democrats say no. We are going to go back to what we had before that allowed for massive immigration into this country. Democrats are now pushing this as a election year issue. And they're also saying they're going to have legal challenges to block the policy as well. Now, the outcome could determine literally how hundreds of thousands of future green card applicants navigate the path to permanent residency in the United States of America. And once again, the Democratic Party making it clear, we stand for illegal immigrants and those from outside the United States of America before we stand up for Americans and what Americans want and or believe on the issue. And that's exactly why this is going to be a major election year issue.
Next, story number 2.
There is a U.S. probe of the embattled UN Gaza Relief Agency. It is now expanded to more than 1,500 staffers that have suspected ties directly to terrorist organizations like Hamas. It is known as UNRWA, and it could soon be labeled a foreign terrorist organization, but your tax dollars have actually been going there. There is momentum now growing for UNRWA to lose its diplomatic immunity as well, which would expose it to lawsuits from October 7th survivors and victims' families. Now, the media is not covering this. Thank goodness the Free Beacon is. And that's why we're going to use this show. And I hope you will take this show and share it everywhere you can on social media. Because what I'm about to tell you should enrage all of you. Now, the federal investigation is into the staff at the United Nations Relief and Work Agency. It is the UN Gaza Relief Organization that's been closely linked now directly to Hamas. They say it will soon encompass more than 1,500 UNRWA-linked individuals suspected of direct terror ties. Now, this is an unprecedented dragnet, reported here for the first time by the Washington Free Beacon. Where are all the other media outlets and why are they not covering this, is the question you should be asking. Because all they did was ask basic questions, and they expose now what has been described as a humanitarian aid group. That's not what they were at all. Brimming with Hamas operatives, so actual terrorists within UNRWA. And then it's generating momentum because of this report in Congress and the Trump administration for not only harsher sanctions on the embattled aid group, but then maybe even designating them a terrorist organization. Quote, the punitive measures up for consideration include stripping UNRWA of its diplomatic immunity under U.S. law, which would open it up to legal action from terror victims, and fully designate the aid organization as a foreign terrorist organization, because they're not doing aid at all. They're filled with terrorists. They are literally a terrorist organization. Now, that's coming according to not one, not two, but 3 Trump administration officials and other sources tracking the matter in Congress. Now, again, why is this the first that you and I are hearing about this is the question we should all be asking. Now, these discussions have apparently accelerated since the Free Beacon reported in April that UNRWA and other UN agencies are stonewalling a federal probe into their ties directly to Hamas. The U.S. Agency for International Development Inspector General's Office, a law enforcement agency separate from the largely defunct USAID, has spent months independently unearthing evidence that countless UNRWA employees actually participated, listen carefully to this, in the Hamas October 7th terror attack. So these UNRWA employees were the terrorists in the October 7th terror attack. They say the probe will soon expand to more than 1,500 suspected militants with direct UNRWA ties. Now, UNRWA, an official organ of the notoriously anti-Israel United Nations, your tax dollars goes there, your tax dollars goes to UNRWA, is the only aid group with a large operation, quote-unquote, in Gaza. Well, apparently it's just funneling money to terrorists. With as many as 13,000, they say, Gazan employees and a large distribution network. Man, that seems to work perfect for a terrorist organization. Now, UN officials have insisted, of course, and lied for years, that it's the only viable option for getting aid relief to the Gazans who are in need. Israel and its supporters have long claimed that UNRWA is fully infiltrated by Hamas. Now we see the evidence of that, and has cemented the terror group's control also over aid distribution, and much of that aid is actually sold off and they make money off of it, which is even more shocking. Now, USAID Inspector General is currently working with the State Department in the latter's effort to build a blacklist that will ensure terror-linked UNRWA employees cannot circulate to other aid organizations within the United Nations systems. Because again, this is the United Nations. It's been infiltrated by terrorist organizations, and your dollars are going to them. The Inspector General has already confirmed that one UNRWA school principal, so this is school principal, participated in the October 7th attacks as a member of Hamas East Battalion and has flagged multiple others for the State Department as well. Quote, the USAID Inspector General's cases coming in droves are corroborating the obvious parent-subsidy relationship between UNRWA and Hamas in Gaza. A senior State Department official familiar with the investigation told the Free Beacon, saying if UNRWA was not a UN organization, it would be undeniably facing terrorist sanctions based on what USAID IG has uncovered. Now, this ongoing USAID Inspector General investigation, sources said, would logically not only lead to labeling UNRWA as a foreign terrorist group, but they say if the probe, quote, confirms that if it walks like a foreign terrorist organization and it talks like a foreign terrorist organization and employs foreign terrorist organization personnel, then a case actually exists that it should be a foreign terrorist organization. A second U.S. official also confirming that the Trump administration has to consider a whole-of-world approach to UNRWA that includes further executive action and policies that would strip the aid group's diplomatic immunity. It says if UNRWA could be sued in the American courts, the agency could very well collapse under the strain of defending itself from a October 7th related complaint alone, because there's a torrent of them if this many people were involved in that terrorist attack. Quote, there's a lot here we can do, said the official. A lot we could do. There has to be consequences for UNRWA for its conduct and the run-up and the role in October 7th and continuing all the way to today with its ongoing refusal to adhere to legitimate and pressing American inquiries. Now, the Trump administration stripped virtually all remaining U.S. funding for UNRWA in February, citing its established links to Hamas. The agency, however, still enjoys that diplomatic immunity, and they can access some funds from the larger UN budget, which your tax dollars go to. And they facilitated Hamas's continued control over aid distribution in Gaza. And without immunities, the source explained, there is a potential exposure for a foreign terrorist organization designation, and then the massive lawsuits, which would then be for the courts to adjudicate. Now, additionally, they say the UNRWA funding remains a line item in the UN budget, and there's still American taxpayer dollars going towards that, and that's unacceptable. A third U.S. official confirmed the appetite for such action has been building since it became abundantly clear that UNRWA and other UN organizations, because again, UNRWA is not the only one, were not cooperating with the USAID Inspector General's probe. Why? Because they don't want you to know that they're actually terrorists and that your tax dollars are going to fund a terrorist organization and even terrorist attacks like October the 7th. Now, the USAID Inspector General also sent a letter to 6 separate UN agencies and the International Committee of the Red Cross. Yeah, you heard me say the Red Cross. In December, asking them to name all employees who worked on U.S. government-funded awards and provide their contact information and date and place of birth. The office also asked the agencies to detail their interactions with Hamas, among other requests. I'm going to say it again. None of the responding UN recipients provided the requested information pertaining to their personnel. The Inspector General exposing that last month. Quote, given its history with Hamas, UNRWA does not have the luxury of not cooperating with an investigation and thinking there might not be consequences, said the U.S. official. We will respond accordingly. Now, elements of all these discussions have also spilled into public view in the recent days as lawmakers call for UNRWA to be fully dismantled. Senator Tom Cotton, a Republican from Arkansas, now has 24 of his colleagues citing the USAID Inspector General's ongoing work, and they are now urging the Trump administration to take decisive action to fully dismantle UNRWA and eliminate it from the UN budget. Mike Lawler, a Republican from New York, and 90 other lawmakers in the House issued a similar call on Friday. Cotton told the Free Beacon that UNRWA's terrorist ties are clear, and the UN's attempt to hide those ties from the U.S. government is deeply concerning. It's long past time to completely dismantle the organization. Senator Ted Cruz and Bill Hagerty, Republican from Tennessee, very influential members of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, both told the Free Beacon that it's time to move beyond merely freezing UNRWA's funding, particularly as the USAID Inspector General continues to unearth evidence of Hamas complicity. Either they come clean or I expect growing momentum for designating them for the support they give to terrorists, Cruz said. Hagerty called it appalling that other UN agencies today are still stonewalling the Trump administration's ongoing investigations, adding that if UN agencies refuse to show basic transparency and then accountability, then the executive branch and Congress must respond. Richard Goldberg, who served in both Trump administrations, currently a senior advisor with the Foundation for Defense of Democracy's think tank, said authorities already exist to impose terrorism sanctions on UNRWA if the president so chooses. The Justice Department's position right now is that UNRWA does not enjoy privilege or immunity, Goldberg said. That means nothing stops the Treasury Department from imposing terrorism sanctions on UNRWA to force its closure. Some people might be afraid of breaking eggs at the UN while the Gaza Board of Peace is still young. But I guarantee UNRWA's survival will be the death of the Board of Peace the second Donald Trump leaves office. By the way, I couldn't agree more. Let me say a couple things here in closing. One, God bless the Washington Free Beacon for doing this work because it's incredible what they just exposed. Number two, this is why I do this show, to give you this type of information. And then I hope what you will do is take this exact information and share our podcast anywhere you can on social media. You can also text the link to the podcast to anybody in your phone contact list so that they can hear what I just gave you. There needs to be insane amounts of pressure from us as Americans on Congress right now, telling Congress right now, hey guys, we're not going to send you any more money if you're going to give it to terrorist organizations. By the way, that's not crazy. That's common sense. Common sense says exactly that. Common sense says you don't send money to terrorists. Okay, I'm going to say it one more time. You don't send money, American tax dollars, to terrorists. That's what you don't do. And I think all of us should be angry. We should be frustrated. We should be demanding accountability in a way that we have not seen so far.
Thank you for listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson. Please make sure you hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. And for more in-depth news, also subscribe to the Ben Ferguson Podcast, and we will see you back here tomorrow.